Good morning, and thank you for joining me today. Although it's a beautiful day in Savannah, we're mourning the passing of perhaps one of Savannah's most renowned and quintessential ambassadors, someone who was undeniably and undisputedly Savannah, someone that we loved and we knew loved us. And I'm talking about Gordon Ronaldo, who passed away over the weekend at age 82. I can never remember in all the years that I've known Gordon not to have a smile on my face when I was around him. And that was in all the places we would run into each other. Just a phenomenal individual, someone who was on so many boards, who participated in so many fundraisers and charitable givings throughout our community. Just a phenomenal human being, somebody in my mind that never aged because he was just everywhere. Whether he was playing General James Oglethorpe at the Georgia Day Parade, or if he was just going around the city being Savannah's Batman. He was a very proud member of our community, and he will be always cherished and will certainly be missed. I know that Gordon is going to heaven because he was both an Episcopalian and a Baptist. He was a member of the Christ Church, and he was a member of the first African Baptist Church in East Savannah, which is very Gordon. And so if you knew Gordon, you would understand that. So our prayers go out to his wife, Catherine, to his daughter, Elise, to his extended family, and then to all of us who knew and loved him. He has fought a good fight and finished his course, but his legacy will remain around our city forever. Savannah remains under a mask mandate and will remain under one until further notice. As you know, we are awaiting some direction from the CDC as it relates to mask and outdoor places. We will get that information. We will review it with our local health professionals, and then we'll make a determination about where we go from here. I'm sure you can understand it's become much more difficult to be able to enforce. However, it remains in place, and we're enforcing where and how we can. The Department of Public Health reports that about 34% of Georgians have received one dose of the COVID-19 vaccination, while only 23% of our population is fully vaccinated. And again, for us, 23 is a long way from the 70 or so we need for herd immunity. In Chatham County, about 25% of residents have received at least one dose, and 22% are fully vaccinated. Again, a long ways away from where we need to be. The Department of Public Health reports that more women than men are getting vaccinated both statewide and locally, and women always lead, so I'm sure that's just the point. In our community, the majority of those getting the COVID shots are over 55, non-Hispanic, white residents. And again, for us, we know where our challenges are, and we have to continue to work at that. So we're diligently working to make vaccines available to Savannians where they are, with 3 mass vaccination sites in different areas of the city. For now, the site at the Savannah Civic Center downtown is open on Thursdays from 9 to 4. The vaccine clinic at Georgia Southern Armstrong Center on the south side is open on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 4. And the drive-through site at the Gulfstream campus is open Tuesday through Saturday from 8 to 4 p.m. And the site is giving the Pfizer vaccine through Friday, April the 30th. And then they will switch to the single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine through May 21st. The Georgia Emergency Management Agency has announced plans to close the state's 8 mass vaccination sites, including the one at Gulfstream, on May the 21st. Which is unfortunate, but I think it's a sign of the times that we're in. I fear that the urgency and the necessity of being vaccinated, combined with the COVID fatigue, vaccine hesitancy, and the great weather, has made people believe that this pandemic is behind us. And as our county is still experiencing what is considered significant community spread, we're a long ways from the 100 threshold that we want to get to, we know that this is simply not the case. The vaccines only work if people get them. And demand at our 2 walk-up clinics downtown and at the south side have been extremely low, and medical staff are only given 50 shots a day. For perspective, they can give about 1,000 shots a day. So we're wasting resources, we're wasting time, and we're wasting vaccines by having people in places with vaccines and people are not using them. So it's frustrating. We want everybody, we need everybody, we implore everyone to know the facts and get your vax. If you have been vaccinated and you know someone who is not, talk to them about your experience. Share with them why you got your COVID shot, and you encourage them to do the same. Certainly, I've got my COVID shot last Friday. I actually passed by 2 weeks. I'm still alive, much to the chagrin of some folk, and actually I'm doing all right. Just saying what it is. The city of Savannah is looking for new ways to manage our vehicles to create a younger, greener, and more efficient fleet. Last Thursday at our workshop, the City Council discussed an equity lease agreement with Enterprise. This plan would allow the city to move into a 5-year vehicle replacement cycle instead of the almost 14-year vehicle replacement cycle that we have now. It would initially add 21 electric vehicles and 91 hybrid vehicles to our fleet, reducing our fuel consumption by 20 to 25%. So that's a big deal. It will also make our fleet management costs more efficient by reducing vehicle maintenance from $115 per vehicle to $55 per vehicle. It allows our wonderful fleet maintenance department to focus on heavy equipment and emergency vehicles. So overall, the plan will save the city of Savannah $2.9 billion over 10 years. The proposed lease of 21 new electric vehicles will be the biggest move toward electric vehicles in Savannah's history. So again, we're serious about this and we're moving towards it. The city, as you know, built out additional power infrastructure and charging stations needed to support these new EVs at the new Public Works facility at Interchange Court. This was possible thanks to a great partnership between Georgia Power and the city through Georgia Power's EV Make Ready program. Along with the 21 EVs, we're also proposing to lease 91 hybrid sedans. This will immediately reduce the city's annual greenhouse gas emissions associated with its fleet by 696 metric tons. 696 metric tons every year. I don't know what that is, but it seems like a whole lot. And that's almost 6% of our total fleet emissions reduced in one city. So to put 696 metric tons into perspective, the carbon dioxide reduction is equivalent to emissions from more than 78,000 gallons of gasoline, 118 homes' electricity used for 1 year, and carbon captured by 909 acres of U.S. forest in 1 year. So again, big news, significant steps by the city of Savannah. And if we take this same action year after year, city fleet emissions will meet or exceed the Biden administration's 2030 emissions reduction target and put us clearly in line of meeting our own clean energy targets. So the next step is to begin incorporating electric pickup trucks, vans, pursuit vehicles, and heavy equipment as they come into market and the technologies are proven. And I think the question will be about police vehicles, and the reality is the technology is not there yet for police or emergency vehicles, and so we're not going to risk the safety or the health of our law enforcement, our fire, our other emergency personnel on technology that has not been tested. So this is a great tangible step toward achieving the city's 100% clean energy goals, which you can learn more about at savannahga.gov/clean energy, savannahga.gov/clean energy. And this fleet agreement will be on the City Council's May 13th agenda. Also, I announced on Earth Day to continue to advance our renewable energy goals. I will soon be announcing a voluntary plastic reduction program that will encourage our residents and our businesses to reduce and eliminate their use of plastic straws, plastic bags, and expanded polystyrene foam food containers. And y'all know what that is. Y'all know what it is, styrofoam. We have one Earth, we have one environment, and we have one beautiful coastal city, and we must do all we can do to take care of it. And I am certainly committed with the city to do all we can to take care of it. So coming soon, we're going to ask for people to voluntarily reduce. We're going to show them wonderful alternatives. We're going to highlight those organizations and those businesses that are doing it. And hopefully it will be a preceptor to when we get to the day when we won't have to mandate it. The Housing Savannah Task Force needs your feedback over the last couple of months. They've been working very hard, developing 5 strategies and 40 action items to help to address Savannah's housing affordability challenges. And you can learn more about that and take a survey at savannahga.gov/housing Savannah, savannahga.gov/housing Savannah. Very quick survey. Ultimately, the task force will present the plan to the City Council, and the Council will decide which initiatives to advance. But solving our housing challenges will take a community-wide, all-hands-on approach. The plan will give everyone in our community the chance to see where they fit in and what they can do to help be a part of this solution. Also, if you're looking for a job, or looking for a second job, and you want to have a hand in building the Savannah Arena, we still have a spot for you. The Savannah's Economic Development Department and WorkSource Coastal has centralized services at the arena site to help residents fill out applications and help contracted MWBE and DBE firms with any questions regarding their participation. The office is open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And if you're interested in the job, because the stimulus money won't last forever, if you're looking for a job, because unemployment won't last forever, you can go to the arena site, or you can call WorkSource Coastal directly at 912-659-3555, 912-659-3555. Resumes are accepted, but are not required, and skilled and unskilled workers are welcome. Unfortunately, our arena project remains on time and on budget. It is coming together nicely and is scheduled to still open in early 2022. Registration is also open for Savannah's first class, our inaugural class of our Construction Education Foundation of Georgia's Construction Ready program. It starts on May the 17th, and you can register online at constructionready.org/new career. constructionready.org/new career. Now, this free 20-day construction education class will teach needed skills to begin a construction career, provide trainees with required credentials, and offer job placement at the end of the program. 97% of the participants have a job at the end of training, with an average starting pay of $12 to $15 per hour. There's a virtual information class on Wednesday, April the 28th, which is tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. that is required for program applicants. You can find the Zoom link to attend on the city's website, savannahga.gov, or on the city's social media. Last week I had the great opportunity to go to, I guess it would be considered West Savannah or Northwest Savannah, to cut the ribbon for the Roadmasters truck driving program. And you all missed it, but I actually drove the truck. And more importantly, no one got hurt. I backed the truck up into cones. Chief Mentor, I did not hit any cones. And they were amazed at my skill. But I've told them if you could drive a police car, you could drive anything. But this is a wonderful opportunity for people who are interested in truck driving. We know this is a profitable career. We know that as our port continues to grow, there will be a need for people to drive trucks. It's a 4-week program, 1 week in the classroom and 3 weeks out, and they teach you everything you need to know. Once you get finished with the class, the truck companies are ready to hire you. And they will do additional training and on-the-road training and make sure that you're prepared. So again, the opportunities are here for everyone here to be employed if they want to be employed, and I want us to take advantage of that. So big thanks to Roadmasters for entrusting me with one of their rigs to drive around their yard. This is the last week you can share your feedback on 2 design options created for the Forsyth Park Master Plan. Visit friendsofforsyth.org to take a survey and share your ideas about the designs. The last virtual meeting about the master plan is tomorrow, April the 28th at 6:30 p.m. with District 5 Alderwoman Stella Shabazz, and you can find the Zoom link to attend at friendsofforsyth.org. You can only share your ideas until Friday, April the 30th, and we want as much participation as possible. Finally, here in Savannah, we value economic development and the opportunity to make sure that we are a community where anyone can do business. As you're familiar, last month, Governor Brian Kemp and the majority of the Georgia Assembly completely ignored our efforts to keep our economy growing when they passed that signature piece of voter suppression legislation, form also known as SB 202. Governor Kemp and the Georgia Republicans unfortunately knew the risk when they forced through SB 202. They knew that it would have economic impacts across our state and here in Savannah in particular, but they decided to push it through anyway. Didn't talk to anybody, just did it. This draconian legislation criminalizes handing out food and water to voters. It severely limits ballot drop boxes while transferring unprecedented amounts of power over elections to partisan politicians in the state legislature. It also gives individuals the ability to challenge an unlimited number of voters. It eliminates 11 days of mandatory weekend voting for federal runoff elections. These are just a few reasons why leaders across the country have called this legislation Jim Crow 2.0, and why folks across the country are now hesitant to do business in Georgia and in Savannah. It's a direct result of Governor Kemp and the majority of the Georgia General Assembly's fanatical support of this anti-voter legislation. So in Savannah now we're playing defense, trying to maintain conventions and events that have previously committed to Georgia, specifically Savannah, and to stay on the radar of other conventions and other events that are now hesitant to consider Georgia because of recent actions under the Gold Dome. So as I continue to work and ask that people don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, don't blame Savannah because of what folks under the dome in Atlanta are doing. All of Georgia should not have to suffer because of this regressive, suppressive effects of a law that's disguised as providing protection and security of votes. So we will continue amplifying our voices. We will continue raising a good argument. And again, we will continue to invite people to Savannah, letting them know that we are not them. We believe that people should have the unmitigated opportunity, unsuppressed opportunity, and unhindered ability to vote. So that is my prepared remarks, and I will answer any questions you may have, and thank you. And I guess we're going to go with Sean last today. And I think we're going to watch Emma before Sean, since she had all the questions last time, changing gears. Good morning, Ms. Alex.
So I'm hearing that over the weekend there were hotels were at about 99% occupancy. Now you started the press conference talking about difficulty with enforcement. We have CDC coming out with new guidelines that are possibly more lax when it comes to the mask mandate. I mean, what can you do at this point, especially with the weather only getting better?
Well, I think anything starts with personal responsibility. Van Johnson will continue to wear a mask now, probably through Christmas. I mean, it's just to keep safe. I've had a close member in my family to contract COVID after having both vaccines. And the reality is you can still catch it. There are still variations and strains that are going on. And you just don't know which one is around. So I've seen people just kind of saying, hey, I'm vaccinated, I'm good, and we know that's not the case. Again, we recognize that there are just more people out there that we can reasonably take care of. So again, our COVID resource team is out, our police officers are out. We'll continue to enforce and advise and educate as long as the mask ordinance is in place. Once the CDC gives us guidance, we'll talk locally about our specific situation, and then we'll make a decision about where we go as it relates to mask mandates. We might very well keep it mandatory and continue to enforce, or we might make some revisions. So it just all depends. We've committed here that we're going to follow the science, so we'll lean on the science.
And you mentioned arena jobs.
Yes.
And talking about how unemployment won't last forever. Now,
unemployment insurance will last forever.
And so over the weekend, over the past few weeks, every single place I've gone to is hiring. And some places are only staying open a few days a week because of that employment shortage. Now, is there any effort on behalf of the city to try to help these businesses out? Because I mean, it's wild. I mean, these people are really suffering and not able to find employees. Well,
I think the city might actually have some of the same issues. I think what we're looking into is hosting some sort of job fair to create ways of synergy for people to be where the jobs are. But the fact is, people are not applying. One of the downsides, if there are, of the help that has come from the federal government, is that it is economically more feasible to some people to stay at home than it is for them to work. So if I can have my summer off and still make more than or close to what I'm making being off, then I'm going to do it. I mean, you know, I get it, it makes sense. It's very hard for our businesses. But again, as I said earlier, and I said it intentionally, the stimulus doesn't last always. And the unemployment insurance doesn't last always. And so ultimately what you will have is a mad rush of people running back into the employment ranks. And so any way we can be of help, we have committed to our business partners that we're willing to help. But again, you know, it's really a function of the market. You know, I'm sure that if all of you, if they said, you know what, you'll make your money, you can stay at home, I'll be at a press conference by myself. Because you get it. So I might even pick up a part-time job doing something. There's a lot of jobs out there.
And then my last question is, with all of these mass vaccination sites going to close, you mentioned even in the Civic Center really having issues with demand, and you had said, wasting resources. So do you anticipate we might possibly have to downsize or close eventually if it continues like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a reality. The Civic Center, I mean, although we're saying it's free or we're partnering, there's a cost. So every time you turn on lights, there's a certain number of people that have to be in the building to maintain the building. There are professionals that are coming from other places that are sitting there. And so there is a cost-benefit analysis of having people there where their time is not utilized, when we can have them somewhere where their time is utilized. And so, it's become very difficult, and you have to, you want to be available because every person helps, but on the other end of it, if we're set for 1,000 and we're only getting 50, that's really a waste of time, effort, and money, and so we'll have to do something else. So we'll be reevaluating that as we go forward.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing all right. Switch gears. I mean,
That's a new term, switch gears.
We know Dr. Gerard takes his role with the in-gun violence program. Can you talk to me about the priority of replacing him in that role or the future of that role as a whole? I
was advised that Dr. Tate has left for personal reasons, and that is all, it's a personnel matter. And so, in my role, I'm not involved in personnel matters. I will tell you that Chief Mentor is here if you have any specific questions about it. I will tell you that the in-gun violence program ultimately will be moving from the police department because, these types of programs work best not under law enforcement. They just get a different amount of cooperation, so it's always been our plan to move it from the police department into something else. And so we're working to determine what will that look like, and I would want to have provide some assistance in hiring our next director. It's a very valuable program to us. Our summer is coming. It's hot. We know what happens during the summer, and so we need to have a person on board. So I'm committed to doing what we can to do that. We wish Dr. Tate well. I only met him a couple of times, so. People come and people go. And so again, ask the chief whatever questions you have for him. I don't know anything more than that. Thank you. Switching gears.
You can't switch gears and start, so we'll switch gears.
Well, he switched gears, so now.
True, he is switching gears to me. All right, just 1 second. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. Good morning.
Good. I wanted to start with the COVID vaccine. You talked about earlier how more white people are getting the vaccine compared to black people. What is your plan to address the racial divide in people who are getting the vaccine?
I don't know what else we can do. I think that we probably can do a better job engaging houses of faith. We might be able to do a better job at looking at going more to the community level, in community centers, in places where we know people may be more willing to come to a place in their neighborhood. We've used some houses of faith, and I think maybe we can expand that more. In the end, the facts are where they are, and we recognize that people of color often have more underlying health conditions. We know that overall they are affected more by COVID, and we know that the lasting effects are more because of that. I've taken my shot. I did it publicly. And, to tell people how important this is. And, I'm hoping that, we can stay focused on that. And again, with leaders in our community and people of influence, we've leaned heavily on members of the faith community, business community, community leaders to, share their pictures, tell people why. I've done that on my platforms. I've called people out and say, hey, I want you to go get your vaccine. I think that's all we can do. That's all we can do. And again, the number, under 55 is very, very important as well. I'm in that age range. And again, I think just people think that things are over. And I think that can be the pain that we all feel. You look at India and what they're going through as a country. We're not far from going back there if we don't keep this managed.
Last week when the governor was in town, he was talking about the supply and demand of COVID vaccine, supply chain demand being low. He said that it could get to the point that we need to start going door to door to get people vaccinated. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, I will give vaccines. If they show me how to do it, I will go door to door to get vaccines. I mean, I think it's just that important. I mean, I think people think because you're not sick that you're just kind of okay. You'll be okay. I mean, we remember what last summer was like. The weather changing, it really throws people into a false sense of security. The fact is that, COVID is still real. COVID is still killing people. And I just don't want it to be me. And I don't want it to be anybody else in Savannah. We've lost too much already. So if we can go door to door and we can find a way to make that happen, let's put together a task force and make it happen. I'm in, all the way.
Switching gears now. Talking about COVID enforcement, kind of branching off Alex's question, is the COVID enforcement team still out and about, or there's just too many people to really?
They're still out and about. No, they're still out and about. Again, admittedly, there are people everywhere. I would say it's a good problem to have in that our economy has roared back. And I talked to my colleagues across the country. They're reporting that their economies have not turned back. Hotels still are empty, some are closing. And as you notice in Savannah has just come back in a big way. Hotels are above, some are being oversold, as I've heard. Restaurants are full. Businesses are having some of their best times ever, even pre-pandemic. And so it's just really difficult for us to be able to manage that many people. So the COVID team is out there. The police will continue to have masks where we can. I'm still walking around with a carload of masks and still asking people to wear their masks. But it does get increasingly difficult to manage. But just because it's increasingly difficult to manage does not mean that we say stop wearing it.
Last thing for me this morning, you talked over the past few weeks about getting workers for the arena project. Is the city struggling to get people to work on this arena project? No,
not at all. But the issue for me is that I want Savannahans to work on the project. I ride by the arena every single day, and I recognize what a hallmark legacy project this is. This building will last longer than the lifespans of most of us in here. And I just think that a local project this big should be worked on by local people. There should be local Savannahans that have a benefit from this arena being here, that they earn money from the city's largest municipal project ever in our history. And so, I mean, folks will get workers. And they'll be from Bryan County, Effingham County, Liberty County. They'll be from, places west and south and north. I'm just saying, that's fine, but I want Savannahans on this project first. And so that's why I've been, like a broken record, I keep talking about it because in the end, I don't ever want a Savannah to say, because they'll say sometimes, we see all these license plate tags from other places and other places. Well, that's because Savannahans didn't go take advantage of the opportunities. So that's what we're pushing for.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And the cell phone is out.
That's another reference here. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I wanted to start on quadricycles. I know that's been an issue in the past, and as I understand it, there's a proposal right now from the Office of Special Events, Film and Tourism to start a pilot program to expand the quadricycle route that would go to McDonough's, Chippewa Square, and then over to Orleans Square. There's some discussion right now, especially in downtown residents. They are going to meet tonight, actually, on the topic. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this proposal and how it came about. I don't recall ever hearing it or seeing it on any council agendas or discussion on council during this meeting. So if you could just shed a little light on that.
I have no clue, but I will have a clue. Not familiar about any type of discussion about it, was not advised about it, and I would have some concerns about it. Obviously, quadricycles are extremely interesting vehicles, often very loud in residential neighborhoods, and I was on council when we first allowed them to come. If you remember, city council took a ride on a quadricycle. Often an impedance to traffic because it doesn't ride very fast. And so I'd be interested about the origin of this. And again, I'm not familiar about it. I'm there, I'm not familiar with it. So thank you. I shouldn't have to hear from news about the city from, but we'll.
Again, this is just information we're getting from tonight. Residents that are going to be organizing this meeting to talk about proposal and stuff. So that's what we got the information on.
Okay. I've not heard that at all from anybody. So.
Well, then moving on to the dot shuttle. Wanted to ask how soon that could be coming back. I know we've reached out to Pat on the issue, and they said it's really up to the city to determine when that will be implemented again. Do you have any idea when those discussions come back up?
We are evaluating our return to our new normal. That's a variety of things, and let me just add, we're looking at city employees, I think, coming back more so in full force in May. Beyond that, opening some city buildings, City Hall will remain generally closed for a while. As you see, we're doing some needed construction during this time, but then also reinstating shuttles. So we have not come up to any type of timetable yet, but we will hopefully, as we talk about how we reopen. Again, the deal with the shuttle is that we're providing a vehicle in which, a small vehicle which people get on. Do we do that and require a mask on them in order to ride them? We have to be concerned also for the safety of the drivers. People getting on here, we don't know where they're coming from, we don't know what their vaccination status is. So I think that any discussion about the return of it would have to be preceded by a discussion about how do we keep the driver, how do we keep people on the shuttle safe? Do we reduce capacity? How does that all work out? And again, I think that's partly scientific that would have to be farmed out.
Broad Street. I know the section that's being worked on right now, which streets in between right now, but that is slated, and we've heard from city leaders here in recent history that it's supposed to be finished by the end of this month. Do you know, is that on track, and what are you willing to do to keep that moving and to keep that benchmark?
Our commitment has been that we would start on time and we would finish on time, and that we would be communicative with business owners, that they would know what to expect and when to expect it. I have not been advised that anything has changed with the deadline, so it would be my assumption that the deadline is still on task. The point of the matter is that the construction is disruptive, but I think we all agree it's necessary. The infrastructure, it's a beautification project, but on the other end of it is also a very serious infrastructure project. We have pipes underneath Broad Street that are over 100 years old. And when you dig into them, you find out just how old they are. And so as we beautify above, we're really creating a better infrastructure beneath that helps these businesses in terms of their utilities and their water bills. So we know that it's disruptive. You can't dig up a street or sidewalks without being disruptive. We do think that the finished product is an increased enhancement for that business for years to come. But to that end, the city has to be very transparent and open with business owners so they can plan their business. Now, we were doing it earlier when people were not here. The challenge for us is, well, do we stop? When do you do it? Do you do it, during the holidays? Well, no, because, so it's really no good time to do it. But for us, we're going to try to do it with as minimal disruption as possible. But to make sure that we have people on the ground, first of all, if you have any questions, people that they can call directly and get a direct answer. And then again, that people are not finding out their issues, that we're communicating those issues, any changes, any deviations as they come up.
And last thing, thank you, sir. Kind of piggybacking again on Alex and this question about mask enforcement, but what guidance we are anticipating coming from the CDC from the President's Day, hinting at loosening restrictions for folks wearing masks outdoors who are fully vaccinated. Would that be removed? I know you said you want to lean on science, you want to follow what local healthcare leaders are saying, but how soon would you want to move to adjust the city's mask ordinance to follow that science and guidance from CDC?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily rush, and I'll tell you the reason why. The key word there, people not to wear a mask outside that are vaccinated. Key words, that are vaccinated. How do you prove that they're vaccinated? Am I going to waste police and COVID resources and show me your vaccination card? And now there's a market, I understand, where people can get fake vaccination cards. So I think, again, for me, I would rather leave the mandate in place, at least for a while, rather than saying, trying to determine who's vaccinated and who's not. I think it's safer if people are just wearing the mask. So again, we'll play by ear. We'll see exactly what the guidance is. And I have some phone calls, I believe, scheduled later this week. So I'll ask more specifically about that. How do you determine that people are vaccinated? I do know probably for quite some time, masks will be required in city-owned buildings. I think that's just smart and safe. And we want to keep Team Savannah safe.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions? No more gears to change?
Not that.
Okay. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, the year is moving fast. This is the last week of April 2021. It just seemed like it was just January. So we ask that you continue to mask up. And if you notice, I double mask nowadays just to be safe. And so I've been taking a couple of pictures every now and then without a mask on, but I've been holding my breath. So may God bless you, and may God continue to bless the city of Savannah. Have a great day.